So let's move on the slide. Okay. Yes, my students, I have this video for all of you.
And perpendicular lines. As we learned, lines go on forever in both directions. But when we have a pair of lines, it is possible for these lines to meet at some point. Let's look at the following image. If we have two cars, the first one passed through point A and it's moving towards point B, while the second car has passed through point C and it's moving towards point D.
There's a net speed that is might be getting a bit slow, so it's still downloading it. Let me just turn off my camera because my computers get a bit slow, so that's why I'm going to, yes, I hope so that now it can work. Yeah, the video is still downloading. In the girl session, this videos go smooth, and now in today's your lecture, the video is, you can say, the downloading, and it will take few seconds to start again. Let me see if I'll.
If we represent the paths of these two cars by lines, we can see that they meet at some point. We call this pair of lines intersecting lines. As you can see, the intersecting lines form an angle. Let's go back to our image. Assume that we have another two cars moving as in the screen. The two lines represent the car's movement will intersect as you can see, and we get an angle. Doesn't it look familiar? Yes, it's a right angle. We can double check by using our model angle. In this case, we call the intersecting lines perpendicular lines, and we use this symbol to say that the line EF is perpendicular to line XY. Look at these intersecting lines. All of them form right angles. Therefore, all of them are perpendicular lines. But do all lines intersect? Let's see. Assuming that these two cars are moving as follows, the lines representing their movement don't intersect in our screen. But if we extend them, we will see that they meet at some point. Let's go back to our image. Now what about those two cars? The lines representing their movement don't appear to intersect at any point, even if we keep going. A pair of lines that don't intersect at any point is called parallel lines. But how can we tell if a pair of lines is parallel, especially that lines go on forever? Well, there is a way to check. If we draw a perpendicular line to one of the lines and make it intersect the other one as follows, then we draw another perpendicular line at some other point, we get the following figure. Now, if the length of these two perpendiculars is the same, this means that the distance between our two lines remains the same. We can conclude that our original pair of lines are parallel, and those two lines will never intersect because the distance between them never changes. We use the following symbol to say that line GH is parallel to line KL. In this lesson, you learned how to
this is something that she explained you all about the parallel and perpendicular lines, that what are the perpendicular lines, what are the parallel lines. Meanwhile, I just stopped my video because there was a net speed slow, so that's why I want you to see the video clearly. Okay, all of my boys, first of all, you just need to revise Abdullah Khan specially that what is the basic definition of perpendicular lines. Anyone who can tell me? Last day I underlined those lines for you and I told you to learn the basic definitions of the perpendicular line. So what is the definition of perpendicular line? Anyone who wants to reply me, kindly raise your hand. Kindly raise your hand. Okay, that is Darim. Okay, let's Darim, unmute yourself and tell me what is the definition of
Ma'am, the perpendicular line comes when a right angle comes.
yes, perpendicular lines. When two lines meet at the angle of right angle and they make an angle right angle, that is called perpendicular lines. So this is something that is the easiest definition, and tomorrow I will ask you all one by one to tell me this basic definition of perpendicular lines, that what are the perpendicular lines. So now my students, let's move on to our today's word. Everyone open your book 3. Page number is 249. All of you open your book 3 and the page number is 249. Everyone, kindly open your book 3 and the page number is 249 and mention a date on the top of it, that is 2021 is the date. Kindly mention your date on the top of this page. Okay, this is something that's very important. Mention the date. Okay. After revising the concept of perpendicular lines, when two straight lines meet and they make an angle 90, so they are called perpendicular line. So Musa Usman has raised the hand. Yes, Musa, unmute yourself. Okay, now you're gone. Everyone. So after just revising this concept in your mind, whenever you read any question, my students, you just need to first revise the definition into your mind, that what the teacher is looking for, what is the basic thing that you need to keep in your mind about the perpendicular line. So whenever two straight lines and they make a right angle, they are called perpendicular line. So look at this letter A. Look at this letter A, my students. Can you see any perpendicular line in this figure, in this letter? Can you see it? No. There are angles in this letter A, but there is no perpendicular lines in this letter A. So there is no perpendicular line in letter A. Let's move on to our next letter, that is letter E. I'm sure that my students can easily find out the perpendicular line. So kindly mark it with me. Over here we have a perpendicular line. We have a perpendicular line over here. We have even over here perpendicular lines, and we have a perpendicular lines over here as well. See, so there are perpendicular lines in this. Okay, now let's move on to the next figure. What is the next figure? The next letter, sorry, the next letter is letter F. Can you mark a perpendicular line by yourself? Yes, you all can, because you know that when two straight lines meet and they make a right angle, they are called perpendicular lines. Okay, the next letter is letter H. Can you find out a perpendicular line in this letter? Yes, you all can. So mark it. Kindly mark it with me. Yes, we have a perpendicular line over here. And even on both the sides, see, we have a one perpendicular line at this side and we have other perpendicular lines on the other side. So we have four perpendicular lines in the letter H. Okay, now it's turn to have a look on the letter O. Okay, anyone who can find out this perpendicular line or any angle in the letter O? No, because there is a no perpendicular line, because the lines are not straight, they are curved. So there are no perpendicular lines in letter O, and the same you can say the terminology we will use for letter S, because there are no straight lines, there is a one single curve, no line is meeting with each other, no intersecting point. Okay, in the previous video, the lady was using the word intersecting. Intersecting means meeting point. Where the two lines meet at that point is called intersecting point, or the other name, professional name for meeting is intersecting. So they both have the same meaning. Okay, now my students, we have a next question. It is bit tricky. It is bit tricky in the sense because you guys are going to first of all find out a lot of perpendicular lines in these two figures, in these two pictures. So for if you have any color around you, you can grab the color to mark the perpendicular lines, because it will be then easy for you to identify. This is something that's very important, that what you can do, you can simply grab a color if you have any color. Otherwise pencil is fine. Pencil is fine for you. So what you all do, first of all, let me just get tell you that what to do. Okay, look at this picture. First of all, A B H G. In this picture, they give you actually a three blocks and they are joined together. But one thing that you all keep to in your mind, that they are actually three different shapes, three shapes that are joined together. So how you can name these shapes? First shape name is ABGH. Second shape name is BCFG. And the third shape is CD and EF. This is the other shape name. So they are basically three shapes. First of all, the most easy trick to find it out, that if you notice that the shape ABGH and CDEF are almost same, because they both have the edges and the corner, and in the middle we have a square. In the middle we have a square. So all of my students, what you all gonna do, you will mention your pair of perpendicular line in this question. Okay, I was teaching the girls in the previous class, and the bit confusion part for them was that how to how to find out the perpendicular line. As I told you all, that grab a color or your highlighter, any highlighter, and let me just change the color of my marker so it will be easy for all of you to just look at this. Okay, I'm just pointing out my first perpendicular line. In this corner, can you see a perpendicular line? Yes, there is a right angle in this corner. So let's point out. So everyone kindly just draw an L like me in this corner. Just draw a line like me in this corner. And the same shape you will find out over here. See, there is a perpendicular line over here as well. Now it's easy, because you just mark your two perpendicular lines in the two shapes. But if you look at these shapes on the other sides, on the other side, there are, you can say that mark your one. Now it's time to look at the square one. Now it's time to look at the square one. So in this square, what you all will do, if you will look at by putting your scale, if you will look at this by putting on your scale, you will find out that there are four perpendicular more lines in it. Okay? But I will just solve only 2 and 3 for you. Otherwise, it will be a long list. So I'm just picking up my blue color and I'm going to highlight the part for you. So that is BG is per. Okay, let me just get my marker and its color. Let me change the color. Yes, I am finding out my other perpendicular line over here. That is BG is perpendicular to GF. And the same methodology that I'm using for other is that CF is perpendicular to FG. So I am making one my over here at this one. So there is a perpendicular line, and even if you look at this, over here we have a perpendicular line, and if you look at the opposite, we have a perpendicular line over here as well. Okay, we have four perpendicular lines in this piece of square. So what my students, we gonna do after highlighting these corners for you, now it's time to write down their names by showing them, which is a bit tricky part, but I'm telling you all a very easy trick. For example, look at my pointer where I'm pointing, my students. If I'm going to point out this red one, I will do, I will write that BG is perpendicular to GH, because I'm going to mention my line names, that BG is perpendicular to GH. Now, interesting thing is that if you first mention HG is perpendicular to BG, so that's also correct. That's also correct. You can even swap the places of the lines as well. Like first you can mention BG perpendicular to GH, or you can mention HG is perpendicular to BG. Your answer will be same and correct because they both are perpendicular to each other. So line names are, don't get confused by writing the lines names. So let's start writing. On the same page you have a lot of space given in this page, so you will write down your answers over there and I am going to write down my answers in this corner. So let's start with my first name, that BG is perpendicular to GH, which I just tell you. Okay, the next one is, let's move on to the same shape which is over here. Let me just tell you. I'm after writing this perpendicular line, I'm going to mention the another red one. I'm going to first mention the another red one. It's your choice. You can first even mention that BG is perpendicular to GF. It's your choice. Which you can say that perpendicular line you want to mention first. Okay, it's also not problematic at all. Whatever you want to mention first, it will be also correct. Draw a perpendicular sign in the middle of these two. And this is very important, that you are going to talking about perpendicular line. This sign is very important. You are not going to skip it at all. Okay, now I am first of all would like to mention the another red corner. The another red corner was that CF is perpendicular to FE. I first mention my red corners. I would like to first mention my red corners. So I am mentioning my red corners first. Okay, so draw the perpendicular line sign over here. My mouse is not cooperating right now. Okay, now my students, after pointing out my uh, these red perpendicular lines, now let's move to the inside the blue one. Okay, we have one inside, but I would like to mention only two more. Okay, I will mention only two more, so that would be enough that you guys got the concept. So what I would like to mention first, I will mention that BG, I'm mentioning the top one, BG is perpendicular to GF. And the other one that I'm going to mention right now, that is CF, CF, not E. CF is perpendicular to FG. I'm just mentioning two. If you want to mention others too as well, so your answer will be also correct. There will be no mistake in it. Okay, but I'm just mentioning only two more. The four are enough for this one because you guys get the concept. Please draw a proper sign of a rectangular. This one, my mouse is not cooperating. So look at that. I'm going to get it back. Okay, so kindly mention your, you can see that perpendicular lines properly. Mention the perpendicular sign is this one, students. Kindly write it properly, okay? In this one, my hands get little bit moved down. I hope so that my boys understand it, that how I solve this question. I just first find out my perpendicular lines by, you can say that, colors, and then I write it down. And there are more perpendicular lines in it, but I'm just mentioning these four. Okay, now let's move on to the next picture. All of my students kindly mention the perpendicular line for this figure. Everyone, first of all, mention your corners with any color, or you can say that with any, you can say the pencil. First of all, mark your corners, so otherwise it will be easy for you. My first perpendicular corner is this, other one is this, other one is this, and other one is this. Yes, we have four perpendicular lines in this figure. So now my students, you have enough space down this page, so you will write down your answers over here, and I am just going to write down my answers in this small space, because if I move it, all the answers and all the coloring places will be changed as well. So you are going to mention your answers in an open space. So my students, start mentioning your perpendicular lines by yourself. Start doing it. You can start from anywhere. Like you can start anywhere. First, if you will start from the first corner. So first corner is JK is perpendicular to LM. LM. See, it's so simple. Everyone quickly start mentioning your answers, and I am also going to mention my answers. But I will highly appreciate if you all will type these answers by yourself. Okay, so I'm mentioning it, and you should also mention it, and then you can tally it with me. JM is perpendicular to ML. Next, I would like to mention from ML, not N. ML is perpendicular to KL. Okay, I'm just moving toward this side. Second one. Now I'm moving toward my third one. Third one is JK is perpendicular to KL. And the last one is JK is perpendicular to JM. Shayan, I'm taking your questions in a while. Okay, I'm taking your questions in a while. Just have some patience. Okay, I just mentioned it, and let me take the questions from Bahaj. Yes, Shayan, ask me a question. Shayan,
Ma'am, your screen isn't clear.
my screen is not clear. Why? Okay, there is some. I don't know, Jani. Okay, I'm reading the answers for you, and you're the only one who's complaining. So might be there is some signal issues at your side, because in my screen I got full signals and no other device is on right now. So Shayan, what you can do, you can tally your answers. I will repeat the answers and you will tally with me. Okay. Johnny, don't you? What you can do, you will repeat I will repeat the answers and you will tally with me. Okay. And I told you the most interesting thing is that even if you swap the places of the names, your questions will be correct. Your question will be correct. There will be a no, you can say that mistaken. Draw these lines over here. Two participants have raised the hand. So let me ask the question. Yes, who is this Nida? Okay. Unmute yourself and talk to me.
Ma'am,
Yes. Yes.
ma'am, Sayan is right. I can't see your screen. It's so blurry.
Oh my God, I don't know what happened to it. What happened to it on my side? It's totally clean. Okay, let me ask the other one. Ahil, is the screen is blur on your screen too? Ahil, okay, unmute yourself and tell me. Ahil, is the screen is blur?
No, ma'am, it's fully clear.
Oh, you have a good net speed. Ryan, is the screen is clear for you? Ryan? Okay, boys, what we can do, we have only few seconds are left. So yes, Ryan, is the screen is clear?
No.
Okay, for you as well. Okay, it's totally depend on the net speed as well. Okay, it's totally okay. What I can do, I share the same answers on the new page. Okay, let me just go to the new page. Let me go to the whiteboard, and I'm going to share the answers on the whiteboard. Okay, and let me just write down the answer for you again, everyone. Let me just get a whiteboard. Okay, this is a whiteboard. I just open the whiteboard for all of you so you can tell your answers from there. And you, I hope so that the first figure which has a three shapes, I'm going to write it answers again for all of you. Its answers are BG is perpendicular to GH. Then your next is BG is perpendicular to GF. Next one is CF. Oh, sorry, I'm going with BG. Let me move on to the third line. Is it clear or still you have a problem? Let me, I think, change the color of my font size as well. Okay. Next is CF is perpendicular to FG. And the last one we have CF that I point out for you that is perpendicular to FE. Everyone. Okay. Now these are the answers of the first question that I marked for you. Draw the perpendicular signs in the middle of each word. Otherwise, the question will be wrong. Let me take the questions from the participants and then I will. Okay, these are the answers of question number 3, figure A. Now I'm going to write down the answers of the next figure, which is a rectangular of JK and that one. Okay, I'm going to share the answers of that one. That is JM is perpendicular to ML. Check your answers, students. JK is perpendicular to KL. Then we have ML is perpendicular to KL. And the last one is JK is perpendicular to JM. Okay, these are the answers of the question number 3. And I am just showing you so you can tell your answers with me as well. Okay, you can tell your answers over here. And don't forget to draw the perpendicular line. For me, it's difficult to draw this sign with the mouse because the lines goes up and down, okay? But you have to tally your answers with me. Okay, still we have a participants who were raising the hand, so I will take questions from them. Yeah, this is the other one who is that one? Wahaj Ali. I don't know what's wrong with this boy. Why he's writing so much extra things on the board. Okay, Nisar, Nida. Okay, Wahaj, unmute yourself and talk to me if you did not hands down here. If you have any question, kindly ask me. Okay. Okay, I think that's enough for the day. Today we have done only 2 questions, and inshallah from tomorrow we will start our work. Yes, who's asking me question? Kindly ask me again. I'm going to stop my recording and then I will take your question. Okay.